Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive It Out. My name is Adam, and today I am super stoked because we are at the Detroit Auto Show. That's right, the world famous Detroit Auto Show for 2025. And I want to talk to you about something here because if you haven't noticed, or we recently did a video on how auto shows are starting to fizzle out in some cities around the country, and that takes away a lot of valuable shopping opportunity for you as a consumer, for car buyers. And this is going to be kind of an example of why it's so valuable to have an auto show. Right now we're looking at the brand new 2025 Honda Odyssey minivan. Now in the United States, you can look at basically 4 different brands for a minivan. If you count the new Volkswagen ID Buzz, you can make that 5. But really the main competitors over recent years have been the Honda Odyssey, the Kia Carnival, the Toyota Sienna, and the Chrysler Pacifica. Now, if you know you want a minivan and you want to shop minivans and compare, the auto show is the best way to do that, because you're going to come here and all 4 of those minivans are here. You can get in, sit down, play with, mess with stuff on all 4 of these vehicles. Now, if you are considering a minivan but possibly an SUV, guess what? You can compare them here at the auto show. So while I really want to focus on this 2025 Honda Odyssey today, I really want to talk about the value of an auto show. Now, my hometown is Kansas City. For 2025, they have canceled the auto show. And I know other cities near me don't have an auto show this year, like Omaha. I've heard that Nashville does not currently have an auto show. So you're maybe having to go a little further away from home to find one, right? I am currently in Detroit. We will soon be at the Chicago Auto Show for 2025. There are still valuable auto shows around, and because of the current circumstances and the current climate, it's a bummer that, but it's a reality that some auto shows are going away, and this is a valuable shopping opportunity. If you were to try to look at all 4 minivans that I mentioned, this and the other 3 in one day, but your only option was to go around and bounce around from dealership to dealership, that would really be a pain. By the time you get to your first dealership, scope one out that you think you want to look at, find out it's locked, find someone at the dealership who can unlock it for you. By the way, while they're finding the keys for it, you're sitting down with them and giving them some of your information. By the time you go through all of that, if you were at an auto show, you could have looked at 2, 3, maybe all 4 of these minivans. Now, we're inside, we're on carpet, we're not going to drive this, but just sitting down in something, right? Looking over your shoulder, checking your blind spots, feeling how comfortable the seats are, reaching for things like the infotainment, of course the steering wheel, and getting a closer look at these, what the cargo areas are like, what the seats are like, the tricks that they may do, you know. You can do all that in an auto show, and you can maybe cross something off your list or add something to your list that you didn't have before. And then when it's time to go travel around, you don't have quite as much legwork to do. But let's talk specifically here about this 2025 Honda Odyssey. So guys, let's talk specifically about some of the details on the Honda Odyssey and what you're going to get here that you may not be able to get in those other minivans. First of all, V6 here. That's it. That's what you get. You get the 3.5 liter V6, 280 horsepower. There is no hybrid option here with the Honda Odyssey. Second thing, automatic transmission. A traditional automatic transmission. When I say that, I mean it's not a CVT, right? This is a 10-speed automatic paired to a naturally aspirated V6. Now, that is your only option no matter what trim level. And maybe that sounds like, oh, that doesn't sound like the latest tech to you. Forget about that, because there's major value in that. What that means is you're going to get proven technology longevity, that is very valuable. This is a very smooth drivetrain. If you have ever driven Hondas before, maybe you're a fan of Hondas, they're really good at making smooth engines, and especially that naturally aspirated V6. They've always tended to make good naturally aspirated V6s that feel good to drive. They're quite smooth in their power delivery, and the way that they work along with that transmission is pretty darn nice. Some of these other minivans that you may get in, talk to people who've driven them or go drive them for yourself. Sometimes you get those smaller powertrains, you get that hybrid set, those smaller displacement engines, I should say, and you pair them with the hybrid system, and the engines sound kind of groany and whiny, and those CVT transmissions they're not that great to drive from an actual driving experience. I'm talking about not your passenger seat, I'm talking about the driver, the person in the driver's seat, the one touching the wheel and feeling the vibrations coming through the wheel, taking in the sounds, and you're feeling it, kind of driving by the seat of your pants kind of things, right? What you're feeling as far as feedback coming through your limbs, the pedals at your feet, the steering wheel, the transmission, and kind of the way that the car responds to the commands that you're giving it from that driver's seat. That's specifically what I'm talking about. So many times, if you are shopping for a minivan, people forget about those factors. Yes, it's about fitting everyone inside and fitting all the stuff and making sure everyone's comfortable and making sure you have the technology in there that you want, and everybody can watch the video they want or listen to the thing they want, and the climate control's great and all over the place. And yes, all those things are great. You're going to find that in most minivans. They're very practical in that way, but don't forget to think about what they are like to drive. And I think this is what the Honda Odyssey has over those other minivan options that I mentioned. For a minivan, the powertrain is great to drive. I have driven this powertrain many times. I recently drove this Odyssey, and it feels good. It feels like the V6 in the Pilot or in the Passport, and it's just a good, solid powertrain. Now, is it going to get the fuel mileage that some of those others will when they offer the hybrids and things like that? No, but it runs strong, it runs smooth, and it still gets decent gas mileage. I think they're talking as high as 28 miles to the gallon with this setup. Now, that is kind of what separates the Honda Odyssey from the rest of the minivans. Now, let's talk about minivans kind of overall, what you're looking for if you're shopping for one. I think what you must want is hiding places for stuff and cubbies and bins and all of those things, because that is what minivans deliver in a very big way. There is so much storage inside of this vehicle, I cannot even begin to explain. So not only can you store a bunch of people, you can put a lot of butts in seats, there is places for everyone to put all of their things. If you are drinking more than one beverage at a time, there is typically a spot to have more than one beverage with you at your particular seat location in this vehicle. This is what minivans do well, all right? Let's talk about what else they do well. Ride height, right? You're looking at a minivan because maybe you're thinking, an SUV sits up a little higher, and this, I really like that low height. That is not just for getting in and out of, but it's also nice to have a low load height sometimes. That comes into play in the rear. Now, this Odyssey is no exception. It's very easy to ingress and egress out of this car. It's very easy to load things in this car and take things out of this car. That's excellent. I do want to talk about something else, one more thing, as far as the interior and the storage that is unique to the Honda Odyssey, is they claim what they have for years now, the magic second row seats. That's right. So you can actually take the seats in this second row and you can slide them. Not only do they slide slightly forward and backwards to help you fit car seats or get backwards facing car seats closer to the kind of the front seats to kind of get them in there more. They also slide side to side, so you can pull the middle seat out and you can slide the two outside seats closer together, get them more toward the center of the vehicle. The theory behind that is safety. If you have two people, two kids back there, and if you can push them more to the center of the vehicle, the safer they're going to be, right? And like a side impact, get them away from the walls of the vehicle is kind of the thinking there with being able to push those seats together. You can slide them to one side or the other, or you can slide them back out where they normally go, put that center third seat in the second row back in the middle, or you can have it folded down to have the cup holders and all of those things. And And then you've got the third row, which we haven't even talked about. So that is something unique to the Odyssey that can be an excellent play if you're looking to fit everyone in here. And I know many people who have owned minivans before, and what they especially like about the Odyssey is the way you can configure the seats. So I also want to talk about the way the seats go down into the floor in the back. You can pull on the string, on the strap here, I should say. You can actually have the seat come back, lay down, and then the whole thing ends up going into the floor and hiding in the floor. So now you have a flat load floor in the back and no third row. That is especially useful when you are loading large things. And it's nice when you don't have to take that third row out and store it in your garage or something like that, which you might have to do in some SUVs even these days. Now, what you're going to get with a minivan as opposed to that SUV also is ride comfort, okay? What comes with that setup, you get that long wheelbase of a minivan. This is just front wheel drive. That's another thing unique to the Odyssey is you got front wheel drive here. Other minivans may offer all wheel drive, other minivans that you're looking at. But regardless of all wheel drive or just front wheel drive, you get low, you get that long wheelbase, that equals comfort. Comfort and ride quality doesn't just come from your suspension, but it also comes from the setup, the chassis setup overall. And you take the front axle and the rear axle, you spread them far apart and you separate them. The further you separate them apart, the more comfortable that ride is and the more that this chassis is going to be able to absorb the bumps on the road. So that is an advantage over an SUV. Now a disadvantage, obviously, that we can talk about is you're not going to get the capability, right? The off-road capability, the ride height, you know, those types of things. Maybe you're somebody, you want an SUV because you're like, I think I might want to sit up higher to see the world a little better. I understand that there's a sense of safety that can come from sitting up higher. In a minivan, you're not as low as a car, but you're not as high as many SUVs, so it's kind of a meet in the middle kind of thing. Chances are, if you are out there and you're shopping for a minivan, I want to tell you things that you may not be seeing in other minivan reviews, and that is to think about the driving experience. This is a minivan. You're going to be able to pack in all of the things you want and put all the stuff and all the people in there, I promise you. Now I want you to think about you from the driver's seat and what they're like to drive. Now, this is not an enthusiast vehicle, right? This is not going to drive like a sports car. Chances are, if you're looking for a minivan, you know this. You know and you understand it's not going to have those driving dynamics. But this thing is going to road trip hardcore. It's going to do awesome at that. It's going to do the school back and forth and the sports back and forth with the kids and around town. It's going to do all those things great. The kids want to have friends over, pile them in. Let's get going. This is what a minivan is good at, is that practicality. So now I would urge you, don't let this be your only vehicle. If you can, go get yourself a fun car if you can and have something to drive on the weekends that's just 2 seats special for you and maybe your significant other, and it's just about you and you get inside, and that feels good to have those breaks. I don't care if it's a $5,000 2-seater car or a $50,000 2-seater car. I don't really care. But that's a side note. If you're shopping for a minivan, you are going to have kind of a vanilla driving experience performance-wise, and something to cleanse your palate might be a cheap little 2-seat fun car to have on the side for yourself when the kids are off doing something else and you can enjoy it yourself. But you cannot discount what a minivan is good at. And of the 4 minivans, what I like about the Odyssey is that powertrain, and it is the driving experience. So if you are shopping for a minivan, I am urging you to think about those things. And I'm urging you to look at the Honda Odyssey, because Honda puts out a fantastic powertrain and a smooth powertrain that is great to drive. If you are finding me for the first time, maybe that's because you were searching for minivan stuff, and we don't have a whole lot of minivan content, but you cannot deny the use case and the market for these vehicles. I have minivans in my family and in my history. I understand the value that they bring. So we are Drive It Out. We do a lot of videos like this where we walk around cars and look at them at some of the biggest auto shows around, but we also do in-depth reviews and test drives of some really awesome vehicles. I'm talking sports cars, I'm talking SUVs, I'm talking all kinds of things. Sedans, those things still exist. We like those too, even though everybody's going the SUV route. Guys, we do car comparisons as well. We have a video where we drove 8 generations of the Corvette in one day. Please, if you like this video and you want to see more minivan content, please let me know, because I've kind of been asked for it. It's in demand. It's an in-demand thing. So I really want to provide and bring something to the table about minivans that maybe you haven't thought about. So if you like this, please let me know. Please subscribe, and I will try to get you guys more minivan content. We are going to go to the Chicago Auto Show, and I am going to do a comparison video of the 4 minivans I just talked about, and we're going to talk about what it's like to walk around and shop all 4 of those vehicles in one space, in one building. Again, thank you guys for watching. My name is Adam. This has been Drive It Out. You can find us on Instagram at Drive It Out. I am personally on Instagram at Naturally Aspirated Adam. I put a lot of my car experiences there, as well as my travel experiences. So look for that. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next review. In the middle kind of thing. This is what I mean when I say come to the auto show to shop. If you have an auto show in your city, please go support it so that it doesn't go away, right? Often in these cities, dealers associations in the city, they organize these shows, and they're the ones who do the legwork to make these shows happen, and we need to go and support them.